All right. There we go. There we go.
I like turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. Turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. Zombie. Turtle. Zombie. Turtle. Zombie. Turtle. Zombie. Turtle. Zombie. Turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle. Turtle. I like turtle. I like turtle.
All right, what's up, Turtle Riders? Welcome to Turtle Boy Live. I'm going to go ahead and share this on Clarence Wood Emerson account. If you give me one moment. There it is. Going. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and share this over here on Facebook. And I'd ask you to do the same if you're watching, kind of spread the word, trying to work up our YouTube channel. I prefer YouTube to Facebook. I'm not going to lie. I like going more on here. I feel like Facebook hides us all the time. YouTube has plenty of shenanigans too because they're owned by Google. And we saw last week what they did to Steven Crowder. But what they seem to do primarily affects monetization. And I've been doing this for like 4 months. I think I made like $13 on YouTube. So I'm not too worried about monetization. We're not going to make much money on YouTube. That's fine. So if you'd like to share it, I'm more interested in building up our following on here on YouTube and kind of working it that way. I think we can have some fun with this. See what happens. All right. So this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Beard Justice LLC. All right. I see Cedric in the comments right now. He can fill you in about the awesomeness of his product. All right. If you're one of those bearded men, you're one of those types, that's great. You're a Ted Cruz of the world. That's fantastic. However, all right, some of those beards stink. I'm not going to, some of these people look terrible too. All right. Go online, beardjusticellc.com. Right, you'll see a variety of products on there that will make you so fresh, so clean, so smooth looking, so debonair. The ladies aren't going to know. They're never going to take their hands off you. That's the only thing I'm going to warn you about. All right, a warning with that, you're going to be irresistible. So just know that ahead of time, and definitely go on there. And he will give you, I believe it's a 15%. Oh, it might be 15 and 20%. You can ask Cedric percent discount with code. If you spend $25 or more, he gives you a discount. And you just need the promo code Turtleboy. Promo code Turtleboy. So that's that. Definitely support our sponsors. A lot of people have kind of purchased that. I've been hearing some great things about it. So let's keep that momentum going. All right, so 2 things on the agenda I want to talk about tonight that I'm fired up about. All right, we have Oberlin College and a deformation lawsuit they were involved in, which is very relevant to what we're doing, and then the Erika Murray case. Let's start with the deformation lawsuit over at Oberlin College. So, Oberlin College is like Smith College of the Midwest. Except they have dudes there too. I don't know what's like the most liberal college around here. Like not just liberal, like all colleges are liberal, but like insane, like completely off their rocker politics. Lena Dunham graduated from the school. That's all you need to know. Lena freaking Dunham, the worst. I need to grow my beard. I'm not growing shit out. The worst social justice warrior ever. The modern face of feminism, etc. She's just absolutely awful. Now, this is a school where a couple years ago, students protested because they served Asian food, or it was a Chinese food or Vietnamese food in the cafeteria. And they literally said that this is cultural appropriation. Not even kidding. That white people making Chinese food is cultural appropriation. So when I go to freaking supermarket and we buy, I don't know, pot stickers or General Tso's chicken in a bag, that we're participating in cultural appropriation. I'm not Italian, thank God. No offense to you Italians out there, right? But you're Italian, so that's not your fault. But I eat pasta, and that's not where my people didn't make pasta. We didn't invent it, but I'm still eating it, making it. So this is the kind of individuals that we're getting into. Italians better than Irish. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You know better than I. Okay, can we just talk about that for a moment? We just got to address this. Italians are better than Irish. All right. Who integrated better in this country, Italians or Irish? Historically. Right. Italians took over like 2 cities. They got Providence. And what? I don't even know what else. What else did Italians take over? Right? Irish took over everything. Every city in America at one point was run by the Irish. Right? We came here. We assimilated. We dominated. We made it our home. Right? Italians, they came a little bit later. And they came here. They didn't want to make it their home. Right? They didn't assimilate well. Right? They didn't speak English. And a lot of them, the money they made here, they sent it back home. They also had a tendency to bomb shit. Look it up. 1919, most tumultuous year in American history. 100 years ago. These people, I think 8 bombs went off in a period of like 1 hour across the country. All Italians. All anarchists. Right? Sacco and Vanzetti. They might not have done it. But there's a reason people thought they did it. So, yeah, Mayor of Somerville, Joe Curtatone, enough said. Providence, I don't want to be racist here, all right? But you know how I feel about the Portuguese? I feel the same way about the Italians. Sorry, not sorry. So that's my rant there. Anyway, back to Oberlin College. So this place is like SJW. Sorry, I know there's a lot of Italians. Alyssa's Italian, probably. A lot of Italian. No Italian presidents? None? Really? That's surprising. Yeah. JFK. We've only got one Catholic president. I'm a Catholic too. So I'm like oppressed, by the way. I'm a Catholic, so I'm just as oppressed as black people because we've each had one president. Right? At least the black president got to do 2 terms. They killed my president. They killed Kennedy. He didn't even finish one. So I'm like the most, do I have to teach you everything, Turtle? Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Stop it. Anyway, let's talk about Oberlin College. So this place is like SJW, hardcore. And there's this, it's like a bakery in town, but they also serve booze. That's why I love the freaking Midwest. And it's like family-owned business that's been around since 1885. Not bad. It's called Gibson's. Family-owned, nice people, good, wholesome folks, and they have to deal with a lot of thieves because they have a college in town. So, especially when you sell booze. So, they also have a contract with the school. They provide bagels, all this stuff. So, all of a sudden one day, these 3 Oberlin students go into there, and one of them he puts 2 bottles of wine inside his jacket. He tries being shiesty, right? And then he goes to buy the 3rd. So he's got 3. And when he goes to buy the 3rd, they're like, do you have ID? He's only 20. He gives them a fake ID. They're like, this is fake. And I know you got 2 bottles of wine in your shirt. This is my first rodeo. Been around since 1885. So, next thing you know, the kid's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And the guy goes, don't leave. Don't leave. The kid goes, oh, I'm going to leave. He goes, I'm going to take a picture. So he goes to take his picture. The kid hits the phone out of his hand. Now it's assault. So he corners the kid in the back of the store saying, you're not going to leave. You're not going to leave. He drops both bottles. They smash everywhere. We saw that in body cam footage. They get into a scuffle and it goes outside. Somebody calls the cops. And by the time the cops get there now, The owner's son, who's scuffling with this kid, is on the ground. He's getting punched in the face by him, and the two other kids are kicking him. So now you got a 3-on-1 here, and that's what the cops see when they get there. Oh, by the way, the owner's son is white, and the other 3 students are black. 1 male, 2 females. Not that it matters, but they're going to make it matter. All right, that's the center of this all is race, as usual. So, when you watch the video, the body cam video, like, so all these kids go, the kid goes home and he's like, oh my God, race, this is all racist. All these people are racist. And they tell all the professors all this shit, like, and people on campus, oh my God, everybody's so mean to us. They're racist, blah, blah, blah. And so they start distributing these flyers, and the flyers say, this is a racist establishment with a long account of racial profiling and discrimination. We urge you to shop elsewhere in light of this particularly heinous event, including the owners of this establishment and local law enforcement. That's not good. So all these idiots start protesting outside of there, all these students. And if you saw the video of them, right, they're almost all white, of course. And they're feeling real good about themselves. And they're all holding signs that say things like Black Lives Matter. Oh, wow. Wow. So I love that slogan. Black Lives Matter. It's like, when people say Black Lives Matter, don't say all lives matter. That's the trap that you fall into, right? Because that leads to a whole argument. All you got to say when people say Black Lives Matter, it's really simple. I agree. No fucking shit, right? It's like, fuck yeah, they matter. So we agree. So what the fuck are we arguing about? We both agree that Black Lives Matter. Now what? What the fuck you want from me? I've gotten in arguments about that, and then no one knows what to do because they're just always waiting for the counterpoint of all lives matter. When you say that, you've fallen for the bait, and then you said exactly what they want you to do, right? So you just say, well, yeah, it fucking rains sometimes too, and the fucking sky is blue. No shit. So there you go. Anyway, there's all these idiots with signs, and they're all written on cardboard. They all feel really good about themselves, etc. And the reporter who's shooting the video asks dozens of students, would you like to do an interview? Would you like to do an interview? You took all this trouble to come down here, maybe explain what you're doing here. None of them want to do it. Only one kid did it. One kid reluctantly did it, and he didn't know what he was talking about. The rest of them didn't. And it sums it up right there. These people, these protesters, they just want to hold a sign. They don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. They have no principles. They don't stand for anything. They just want to hold a sign. That's all they want to do. They want to write on a cardboard sign and feel like they're making a difference. That's it. So, anyway, this kid's name is Elijah Aladdin that was arrested. And him and the 2 others, they plead guilty. Not only do they plead guilty, they write statements in which they acknowledge that they were not racially profiled, right? Because they actually did a study, and they found that over 5 years, 8% of people arrested for stealing from the store were black, whereas the college was 15% black, and the town was 15% black. So it was disproportionately they were arresting white people. So you could argue that they were racist against white people, but its statistics don't lie. And so they were kind of without he's without an argument there. So tough look for Elijah here, Aladdin. Isn't that kind of funny? His last name's Aladdin too, and he's a common thief. How about that? So anyway, this kid, Aladdin, who was allegedly so oppressed, he went to freaking Phillips Academy in Andover. Phillips Academy. That's for rich kids. It's a boarding school. And you saw just how sheltered this kid was. I'm going to play part of the audio from this. This is him being arrested. Now, you can't... I'll turn it on. I guess you can see it, but... You guys see that? Let's see. There we go. So check this out. Listen to him screaming.
I never liked anything with the store.
Take a deep breath, Kitty. Take a deep breath.
Okay, I arrived. Girl I grabbed was wailing away on Gibson on the ground. Okay. I don't have anything. He was on top of me. Nothing.
Well, yeah, you dropped it in the store, dumbass.
I have nothing. Then everybody started charging me. Okay.
Elijah. So this woman's trying to help him.
Started already. He put his hands on me when he was in the car. I get scared. What if I get on it there?
What a little bitch.
This is going to take some sorting.
Now watch when they go to arrest him here. Watch this. He thinks that by yelling and crying, he's going to get out of this somehow.
This one was beaten up, you know. So he's going. Relax.
Bro, it's a shoplifting arrest. It's not the end of the world.
You need to stand over there.
Listen to this. This is good.
You need to stand over there.
They're going to kill me.
You need to get out of our...
He goes, they're going to kill me, right? I love that part. They're going to kill me. And the woman goes, Elijah, they're not going to kill you. They're not going to kill you. Like, he literally says that. The cop asks him later on, why do you think we're going to kill you? He's like, because I'm black. Oh my God, you guys just kill black people. And oh my God. It's like, and the cop's like, bro, I'm like a cop in a town of 8,000 people. I don't kill anyone. Like, I arrest like 5 people a year. No, I'm not going to kill you. I swear to God. So it's like, so basically this kid either he really truly believes that, as a white cops automatically kill all black people that they arrest. That's option A. In which case he's just completely brainwashed and it's laughable. Or B, he knows goddamn well that he got caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do, and then his best bet is to play the race card because he goes to Oberlin College. I'd go with that one. That's what I think. Why? Well, because he goes to Oberlin College. He can read the room. He knows that if he just yells, I'm a victim of a hate crime. Oh my God, racism. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's true. He sees his classmates. He's like, look at all these dumbass white people. Look at them. These motherfuckers, they're going to fall for everything. All I got to say, they don't know that I went to Phillips Academy in Andover. They don't know that I'm like the richest kid at this fucking school. Right. They don't know that I'm a fucking thief who got caught. They don't know any of that shit. All I got to say is racism, and dumbass white people are just going to fall for it. So they freaking, they sue the school, right? And because the school kind of sanctioned these protests. They went down there. This woman, Meredith Raimondo, she's the dean. She helped facilitate passing out flyers. They found, that defamed the business. It's a really terrible thing that they just attacked this small business. I mean, think about that. The margins are probably pretty goddamn thin, right? At this business, pretty thin. And what's going on in the comments? What are people saying? Anyway, I'm not even going to get into it. And so they got to protect their property, right? They can't just let people steal. And on top of that, this kid hit him. And what is he supposed to do? And they've already gone through that, and then you're going to do this to them? On top of that, the school then cancels the contract that they have with them to buy bagels for them because of this. And the school gave the kid a limo to Columbus to go meet a lawyer that they paid for. Why is the school even getting involved in this? This kid was off campus. He committed a crime. Unbelievable. If this kid was white, none of this would have been a story. The school wouldn't have gave a shit. They might have even expelled him. That's it. So, that's that. So they sue him, I think, in December of 2017. They sue him in December 2017. They allege defamation and a bunch of other stuff. Well, they win. This goes to trial and they win. Because the school was just so arrogant. It was by jury. So it's 8 people from that county, right? And they just saw these, they said that, they only lost $35,000 worth of business because of this. That's all they're worth is $35,000. It costs $60,000 a year to go to this school. So in their opinion, right, this bakery, which had been here since 1885, is only worth half a year's tuition at their school. That's how fucking special they are. And this school isn't even worth half a year's tuition to go there. That's fucking arrogant, man. They had emails from the freaking dean in which a professor apparently had written an email to the school newspaper saying, well, maybe we shouldn't be standing up for this kid because he's a thief. And what did they do? Right? The dean writes in an email, fuck him. Let's unleash the student body on him. Something to that effect. It's just unfair. Not realizing this is all public. Anybody can just subpoena these emails. Whew. And it all goes out. And long story short, they get a $33 million judgment total. $33 million. The clerk that wrestled got like $3 million himself. That's pretty awesome, right? And it was just such a great day for freedom. Now, normally I'm on the other end of defamation lawsuits, but this is like legit defamation, right? They called this company racist, and that's what I'm getting at here. People throw around the word racist like it doesn't mean anything. You know, like being called a racist is worse than being called a pedophile, in my opinion. The damage that it does to you. Because society views pedophiles, especially the left, they view pedophiles as redeemable, right? They have a disease, they can be cured maybe, I don't know, just like they feel bad for them, whatever. But racist people, nobody has any tolerance for racists on, the left particularly, but certainly on the right. I have no tolerance for racism. I deplore racism, except against Portuguese and Italians, okay? But besides that, I absolutely condemn racism in all its forms. So, you can't just call people racist. And people do that to me all the time. They're like, you're losing an argument, racist. Well, that hurts because not just feelings. I can give you less about my feelings. I'm talking about when people start contacting our advertisers and just saying, did you know you're supporting a racist website? And then the advertisers, they don't read every blog. They're just like, well, that's not good. Racism, like, I don't want to be associated with racism. We've had so many advertisers leave because of that. So it was so satisfying to see somebody fight back against this bullshit claim of racism. And I loved how not only did these kids have to plead guilty to their crimes, but they also, to avoid more punishment, had to write official statements saying they're not racist. And then the school the Gibsons used those letters in court. They're like, even your own fucking students said we're not racist, bitch. So what you got, son? So yeah, that's just a great day for people fighting back against social justice warriors, taking a stand because enough is enough. Enough is that. I love seeing these colleges take it on the chin like that. Anyway, let's go on to the next topic, and that is the ongoing case in Worcester District Court involving the Erika Murray, aka the House of Horrors mom. So you recall 5 years ago, right? One of the first big blogs we ever did in this, before a lot of you probably were around for Turtle Boy, was this story, because this is a local story. This is Worcester County. Blackstone, Mass is like, it's like a freaking tumor on Woonsocket, basically. It's basically downtown Woonsocket, and it's part of Massachusetts, so it's like a, little mill town on the Blackstone River, small. And the last place that you would expect a story like this to come out of. But it is have dumpy parts too, Blackstone does. So anyway, this chick is down at Erika Murray, and she's got, seems like what seems to be a normal life. A husband named Ray Rivera and two children, age 10 and 13. They go to school, right? They are healthy, they're well fed, and they are, like, I'll read some things that, like, mom, was posting. People are saying she's mentally ill, but what's her husband's excuse? Have you heard the husband talk, Ma? If you think the wife is mentally ill, which I do, wait till you see the husband talk. That guy is like special bus 101. I don't know what the appropriate word to use is, right? He's fucked up. Like, the guy is not right in the head. He's a million times worse than her, if you ever heard him talk. So anyway, she was writing things like, these are some things she actually posted. My kids have officially ditched me. Nick is at a friend's house. Kayla is sleeping at Abby's. I'll be glad to see my kids tomorrow. Just going through my kids' back to school supply list. It's going to cost $100 in school supplies alone. Never mind clothes, sneakers, and everything else they need. It was a good day. We got everything the kids needed for back to school. I'm going to go next now. Lunch with my two loves at Wright's Chicken Farm. It's official. I have a teenager. Happy birthday, Kayla. I love you so much. Nick got 100 on his vocabulary test. Homework done. Dishes done. Dinner started. She posts pictures of food she makes. This is like normal mom shit. Like everything. I remember her Facebook page no longer exists, but I remember we found this page and it's like, holy fuck. The best post she ever made, though, was when she posted like a lot of stuff like missing kids, dead kids that she was sad about, all this shit. She posted something and she goes, some people should not be parents. So that will come back to haunt her because as it turns out, she is that person. In the house, on August 28th, the 10-year-old comes out and he says to the neighbor, what can you do about can you stop a crying baby? This baby won't stop crying. So she's like, you have a baby in there? There's another one? She goes in. She finds the 5-month-old baby covered in feces upstairs. And they even said there was feces on the wall in handprints, right? Along with a 3-year-old covered in feces, right? Maggots crawling in her ears. Couldn't believe it. So she calls the cops. Mom's gone. By the time the cops get there, mom comes back. And the first thing mom does is blame the son. That's what we found out in court this week. She blames the son. She says that, she said that, how could you, I can't believe you did this to me. You know, told people about the baby. I can't believe you did this to me. How did it take this long? The kid's 3 years old up there. It's not a big house, right? Other things we learned, that not only were they covered in maggots and stuff like that, within minutes of the cops going into the house, they had to leave because they were so covered in insects and fleas that they could not be in there. From that point on, when investigators went in, they had to have full hazmat suits. And they did not go back into the house for another 2 weeks. And on top of that, the DCF comes and they're like, we're going to take your kids. And it turns out we found out in court that she's just like, whatever. God doesn't fight it. A lot of people fight, the DCF ferry. No, she's like, whatever. A few days later, when they question her, Ray Rivera, the father, was like all asking about the kids because he seems to have a soul. But this woman doesn't even ask about how her kids are doing. Nothing. Now, we find out that they're like, we want to know where these two kids came from because there's no birth records for them. And she goes, they're born in a freaking tub. Yeah, born. And she wasn't lying. She's born them in a freaking tub. Holy shit. So they want to know where the baby came from. And so they're going to go into the house and try to find birth records. So they go in the house, they find a lot more than birth records. They find not one, not two, but 3 dead baby bodies, right? One of them is in a onesie in a diaper. The other one still has the umbilical cord and placenta attached to it, which means it probably died. It was probably stillbirth. Terrible, terrible. A dead dog's skeletal remains were directly next to it too. Terrible. So that's that. She gets the luxury. The best gift this ever woman got was getting Judge Janet Kenton Walker, also known as Let 'Em Walk Walker. Search for her name on our site. We've written about this judge more than any other judge. She's a Deval Patrick appointee who is they call her Let 'Em Walk Walker because she lets everyone go. That's what she's famous for. Right? And, oh, by the way, she referred to one of the children as it several times. The children had no names, the living ones. The dead ones, of course, did not. Right? She told the 10 and the 13-year-old that those were not her sibling. Those were not their siblings. That those were a friend's baby, and the friend worked a lot. She even created a Facebook account for this friend named Michelle Ridgway that was allegedly the mother of these two. And they went through her phone and they found all these alerts in her email, right, about, like saying, like legitimately saying that she owns this Facebook account. So it was obviously her. Now, the defense is claiming, now the 3-year-old is like all fucked up, scared, like hides. She's probably 8 years old now, but hid whatever when a stranger came near her. Like there's a picture of her in the blog just putting her head down and hiding. Okay, remarkably frightened of everything. And they're saying that this is from abuse and neglect. Defense is saying the child is autistic. Right now, a lot of people are saying, "What about the dad?" The dad, no, the dad. I was lobbying the dad from the beginning. The dad should be arrested, right? How can he not know? I find that impossible to believe. But then you hear the dad talk, and you're like, literally, this guy. It's amazing he can live on his own. You feel like he should be in a home. When you like go listen to the Ray Rivera tape. Just search for him. It's like remarkable, right? Remarkable that this guy could be a father in the first place. She said she did it. I mean, it's just amazing that seemed to be a good mom to the older two. The text messages, the last text she sent to the 13-year-old, she's like telling her, like, I love you so, like, it's like, I mean, it's sad, but this woman's a killer too at the same time. I mean, she's got to be mentally ill. I'm usually the last person to say, right, use the mentally ill excuse. That's not my style. But how can you not be, man? How can you not? You have 3 fucking dead kids upstairs. 3 kids. And 2 alive. How long were they going to be alive for? They never went to the doctor, right? They never been out of the house. In 3 freaking years, the baby never left the house. Holy shit. It's like the biggest freaking story. Her family never even thought she may be mentally ill. That's how good she was at putting on this public persona, right? That's how good she was. And like I said, no sane person could do this to a child, right? Nobody could. So, and in court today, I saw the headlines, but it appears as if the judge Kenton Walker has lived up to her billing. She has dismissed one of the murder charges against them because it could not be proven that the baby, I think, was born alive, which I'm sorry. Okay, now this is where abortion comes in, right? This is where the abortion debate comes in about when does a human life begin. If a baby is born stillborn and it's a result of the mother intentionally not seeking prenatal care, not going to a hospital, not seeing a doctor, how is that not murder? Like, what am I missing here? I mean, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I just have a hard, Kenton Walker will say, well, this is what the law says, right? But the law is interpreted differently by different people. And her interpretation of law is always let him walk. She's let him walk Walker. I find that hard to believe that every judge would freaking do that the same way. So she's already gotten a gift. She already got one not guilty right off the bat. I'm gonna have to go through that later, but wild story. So why don't we do a little questioning? Ask Turtle Boy if you guys have any questions on any of this. Now's the time. I'll read them as we go along here. Could she just be evil and manipulative? She could, but just the fact that you're like able to live in those conditions. Think of that. She lived in that house too. The cops had to leave there in 15 minutes because they were covered in fleas, and she lived there. How did the teachers at the older kids' school not see that, like, the older 2 kids were coming to schools with fleas on them and bed bugs and shit, That's crazy. This is what Eddie Ellerton's saying. I did not know this. A forensic dentist proved that the baby was born and walked? That means it was over a year old. That is insane. That is insane if that's true. I attribute it to evil. If a father has done this, he'd never get the luxury of being crazy. Susan Smith was also evil. Yes, Susan Smith's a little different. Susan Smith had 2 kids and she fucking put them in a trunk, literally murdered them in cold blood. This is like, this bitch is giving birth at home and shit, like the Virgin Mary. I mean, those poor babies, man. And it does open up the abortion debate. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, how can this not open that can of worms about like when does a human life begin, right? Because if you're pro-choice, right, wouldn't the argument be that, well, it was never a human life to begin with, right? It fucking died on the way out of her baby cannon. So how can you say that's murder? It was never a human life, right? Whereas a pro-life argument would be, it was a life the whole time, right? And so, I don't know, it's kind of impossible to avoid the abortion discussion on this particular issue. Curious to hear people's feelings on that. Yeah, to live in squalor like that, exactly, Claire, you got to be a little bit nutso, right? No sane person could do that. Show me on the doll where the Italians hurt me. Italians can't hurt me. Italy didn't even make the World Cup this year. That's exactly. Yeah, they're like the Montreal of international soccer. Let's see. Many don't get prenatal and are fine, but if you never touch, then it's neglect. People don't get prenatal care. You don't go to like a doctor's visit immediately, take vitamins and shit like that. Maybe you're old school. I don't know. We've only had 2 babies in this house, so. When will she be sentenced? Well, first she has to be found guilty, and she waived the jury trial because she got let him walk her. She can take her chances, much smarter. So it's not even guaranteed we're going to get a guilty verdict here, but usually sentencing happens like a week after the guilty plea. Let's see. Maybe she also didn't have health insurance. She said she didn't, but there's also, how does she not have health insurance? She got 2 other kids. They don't have health insurance. It's also Massachusetts. We have mass health and shit. Steven Crowder has a good episode on, what was that, Ashley? I'm curious about what that episode is. The abuse, and she could have even killed herself, not getting treatment after or during birth. Yeah, that's very true too. Yeah, that's a good point. She could have easily died, right? Like getting pregnant in like, the Jesus era, there's like a 50-50 chance you're going to die, right? We saw in The Walking Dead. You see what happens to freaking Rick's wife when there's no doctors around. You just die. So that's another good point that I didn't think about. Let's see, what else are people saying? Change my mind. Change his mind about which, I know he does that, but I'm curious about which incident that was. Can they charge the Chickabee dude with murder? That's another good question, Ma. Right? I mean, as we saw, and this is the abortion thing again, right? Either it's a life or it's not. I mean, let's be honest. And we've seen people charged. Like when you kill somebody who's pregnant, like Lacey Peterson was pregnant like 7 or 8 months. Scott Peterson got charged with double homicide. Because the argument is, even though abortion's illegal, she could legally abort that baby. It wasn't her choice to do so. Which doesn't make much sense to me. Either it's a life or it's not. You know what I mean? If it's not a life, then you can't be charged with murder. And that's a good point that you pointed out there today, because we saw that woman in Chicopee who died. She didn't die. The baby inside of her died 5 months pregnant because this idiot got in a high-speed chase and crashed a car. And now, of course, she wants him back because she's obviously trash. And, yeah, why shouldn't he be charged with manslaughter at least? Right? Because she didn't want to have an abortion. How is that any different from Lacey Peterson, right? This was not her choice. So that's a good point. I'm really I'm interested in seeing how that one plays out, because certainly the way he drove, he's responsible for that. That should be vehicular manslaughter against the baby because the mother intended on keeping the baby, right? So it wasn't her choice to get rid of the baby. She wanted to have the baby, and then because of the father's choices, the baby died. Yeah. Anyway, and we're not talking about abortion, Saint Shamrock. We're talking about philosophy here, about life and death and the legalities, right, of when life begins and when you can be charged with murder as opposed to, not being charged with murder. And that's another good point that Max and David bring up about like hippies and anti-vaxxers, right? How is Erika Murray any different from them? That's a question I kind of have, right? Couldn't you argue it's the same thing? I mean, I understand it's not quite the same thing. There's obviously differences here. There's dead babies and shit in their house. But the whole argument of anti-vaxxers is like the government has no right to tell me I must vaccinate my kids. You have no right to do that. I should be able to give birth to kids however I feel like and raise them however I feel like. Didn't Erika Murray want to do the same thing? She wants to have fucking fire kids out in their bathtub and let them rot upstairs. That's how I want to raise my kids. They're alive, aren't they? Who am I to tell her no? See what I'm saying? That's why it's like, that's interesting one. I'm glad you like these discussions, Lisa. Kind of makes you think. I like thinking a lot. Yeah, exactly, Ashley. This is when life begins versus, when it is acceptable to take a life. That is the debate. What else are people saying? It's pretty easy accusation of neglect, purposely not taking care of your kid. However, Fat Rob, couldn't you say the same about anti-vaxxers, right? All these kids getting the measles and shit. Isn't that neglect because they knew about the measles vaccine and they made a conscious choice not to get it? Fuck anti-vaxxers, brother. I'm sorry. I know some turtle riders out there are anti-vaxxers, and I don't want to hurt your feelings anyway, but I feel about you the same way I feel about the Portuguese and the Italians, okay? Vaccinate your fucking kids. It's not that hard. Stop it. We're not going backward. You're not going to get autism, right? But you're also not going to get polio, so that's good. Oy. Yeah, there is no reasoning with anti-vaxxers. By the way, all anti-vaxxers do, they're always white. Right? It's a white thing. You never see like a lot of black people or Asian people or Hispanic people being like, I'm not getting vaccinated. It's always like freaking white women, from the suburbs that they read some literature online and now they're in a mommy's group and then they read that online and that's that. Yeah, exactly. Anti-vaxxing is a public health strategy for all because it's like my kids are freaking exposed to that shit too. Jay Bird says, there's no reasoning with Italians. Stop it. Don't go. Stop it. Diseases like polio get bored and walk away from humanity. I know. Like back in the 20s, man, like this is like a 1 in 5 chance your kid's getting freaking polio. Like Franklin freaking Roosevelt had polio. It happened all the time. Kids just got polio because they hung out with other kids who had polio. And they didn't know they had polio. And it just freaking spread. And then one day, your 4-year-old can't walk. They can't feel their legs. And it's a life sentence of being in a wheelchair. Jonas Salk got rid of it in the 50s with the vaccine. It's like one of the greatest technological inventions of all times. And now all of a sudden in 2019, a bunch of fucking white chicks from the Upper East Side are like, nah. I read in some literature that like, vaccines actually give you autism and we're going to go all natural and like holistic. So yeah, like unbelievable. The amount of science. They're just like, nah, I read something. So fuck science. Okay. Mercury in the vax causes problems. Exactly. Sorry. I don't know if there's any anti-vaxxers in here. I don't really feel like getting in an argument with you. Anti-vaxxing should be, get the same treatment as climate change. Yeah, totally. Climate change is real. I don't think anybody really denies climate change is real. The question with climate change is like, do we need to will banning plastic bags in Shrewsbury fix climate change? That's the question. Should we all raise our taxes by fucking 50% to fight climate change? And if so, if it's such a national emergency, why aren't we invading India and China, because those motherfuckers pollute like it's going out of style. If it's really an emergency, like they act like it is, we would invade countries that fucking, were like destroying the earth. So, what else are people saying here? I'm glad we're all on the same page with Italians. They're just, no offense. Unk's Jenny McCarthy. Yeah, it basically is Jenny McCarthy, white girl voice. Bruins Turtle winning. Okay, I'm so fucking nervous, guys. I'm so excited, though, at the same time. Think about this. We get a Game 7. 22 hours from night right now. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The most coveted trophy in sports. Right? We'll be in Boston tomorrow night. And we're playing for it. We're at home. The Garden is going to be louder than it's ever been. I think this is the first time they've ever had a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Boston. Because usually, the Big Bad Bruins of the 70s, they swept St. Louis. We didn't make it to Game 7. Right? We won in Vancouver in 2011. Now it's home. So, how do I feel? Okay, so these teams are very different. Right? St. Louis is such a good defensive team. Right? I mean, look, how many times have the Bruins take it, and they're so good with just perfect passing, right? With just always being, like, I don't know, I'm not a hockey guru or anything like that, but it seems like every time they pass, they're always like one step ahead, right? They're not good at finishing, though. They have no real, besides Tarasenko, they have no real talented guys, like guys that are like prolific 40-goal scorer type of guys. They don't have that. They're a bunch of fucking grizzled dudes with beards. And for the first time, I'm rooting for the team that is the talented team, but not the tough guy team. The Bruins used to be the tough guy team. Now they're the tough guy team. We don't have, has there been a fight yet this postseason? No. Back in 2011, if somebody fucked with Patrice Bergeron or somebody fucked with David Krejci, well, here comes the fourth line. Who's Sean Thornton fighting, right? Who's Gregory Campbell got to fuck up today? We don't have those guys anymore, right? Our fourth line now, Corrali, Achari, and Nordstrom, right? Those guys score. Those guys had more ice time than Patrice Bergeron in the last game. So I am nervous because they have nothing to lose, right? They've had 2 guys already suspended this series for games. They're going to have nothing to lose. They're going to be headhunting from Marchand, who's just getting hot now, and Pasternak, right? They're going to be headhunting, man. It's going to be dangerous out there. So I'm nervous about that aspect of it all. However, I think the crowd is going to take them over, man. The question is, who should be the guy that comes out with the flag? Who's it got to be? Now, I know people are saying that it would be badass if Tom Brady came out with a David Ortiz jersey on. And that would be fucking electric. Electric. By the way, you will never see. That will be the biggest ovation you've ever seen if that happens. Renee Rancourt, that would be a good one too. Imagine they brought out Renee. Think of the day that Poppy comes back from this. The first day he comes back to Fenway Park and steps on that field. Oh, think of how much those tickets are going to cost. The fans will never sit down. It'll be the biggest ovation in the history of sports. However, with that said, you know who should come out tomorrow and wave the flag? And I pray to God, there's 0% chance if this person comes out. Who do you think I'm talking about? A 0% chance if this individual emerges in a Bruins jersey and waves that flag. Who's it going to be? You tell me who I'm thinking of right now. Let's see if anybody gets it. Obviously, Ortiz by ambulance in a wheelchair. Terry O'Reilly. That'd be going too. No. Bobby Orr, too easy. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you. Tim Thomas. Because people know Bobby Orr's around, right? Thank you, Nicola. People haven't seen, Tim Thomas is like fucking in seclusion somewhere right now. Is he alive? I don't know. Has anybody seen him since the Stanley Cup? I don't know. He went off the deep end there. I would hope that the Bruins have found a way to get in contact with this guy. Because just imagine, if you will, now it can't be Ray Bork. Ray Bork fucking crossed the picket line. He's done, right? And or has done it. Imagine how electric that would be if all of a sudden Tim fucking Thomas emerges out of that tunnel tomorrow with the flag. Holy fucking shit. The guy that stood on his head and won us the last Stanley Cup. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And there's no way. They're gonna win. They're gonna win. They're gonna win the Stanley Cup tomorrow. They have to win the Stanley Cup tomorrow. They have to win. So, no, the way politics are these days, there's no way ever in the crowd. No, because Thomas isn't like Schilling. Like Schilling's like a douchebag on Twitter. Like Schilling starts shit with everyone. Tim Thomas said one thing about politics. I'm not going to the White House because fucking deep state. Stealing my taxes and shit. I'm going to go live in a bunker. And that was it. Nobody ever heard from him since. He doesn't have social media or anything like that. People don't know if he's alive. So, I cannot wait though. I mean, just think of that. You never get this. We're getting it tomorrow. We're getting a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, man. The cup is in Boston. Whew. If they win, that's 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances in this decade. Has anyone else done that? No. Actually, well, if you count 2010, the Penguins have been in it twice. That's it. So this would be our 3rd Finals appearance and our 2nd win. So we would tie the Penguins and the Kings for most cups in this decade, right? But we'd have more appearances than them. This is a legacy shit, man. This is like a decade team. This is like the Bergeron, Krejci, Chara core wins with a whole new cast, right? A different goalie, right? There's no more Lucic anymore. No more bruisers anymore. A finesse team. They won with the finesse team. That would be fucking awesome. That would be awesome. Charlie Coyle is Charlie Coyle. What a freaking great trade that was. That was kind of like the Peverly trade that won us that. Peverly was awesome in the playoffs too, right? And I love Charlie McAvoy. Like watching him out there, it's like that guy is going to be a franchise player for like the next 18, 19 years. He's tall. He's so confident out there. He's got so much poise. He's so good with the puck. He can shoot. I mean, he can do everything, man. Charlie McAvoy. Love him. And all these guys are like local too. That's the best part. They're all Americans somehow. Right, that 2011 team, I think Tim Thomas was like the only American on that team. Anyway. Any other last minute questions before we call it a night? Kid Kenskate, man, he is just a pleasure to watch. I love seeing 73 out there. It's just a pleasure watching that guy. He's so confident. Like his poise is just so remarkable. Whenever he gets the puck, you just feel like he's in control. It's fun to watch him. He doesn't even shave, you know. All right. Yeah, they better give him what they want. They're gonna have to pick between him and Krug. That's what they're saying. I would take Kim, right? He's bigger. They're both good offensive players, but he's bigger, and he's an all around better skilled player. He was more highly recruited, drafted. You got to take him, or just fucking cut David Krejci's stupid contract. David Krejci's a 4th liner now. He sucks. David Krejci doesn't do anything. So, anyway, why don't we call it a night, guys? And if you, just a reminder, feel free to hit up the store, donate whatever, and get